Welcome to Feasting on the Word for this week. This is a discipline we took on in Lent many years ago and have maintained, and a discipline that goes back to the very foundations of the church. It has one simple question it's trying to tackle, which is, how do we approach God's Word in a way that's manageable? Looking at the spine of a Bible, let alone opening it up and seeing how small the print is, can feel very overwhelming about where to start, how much to read, and what we're really comprehending and getting out of it if we just sit down and try to read it like a novel. So what Feasting on the Word attempts to do is, taking a tiny piece of it, we live with it a little bit by hearing that same piece multiple times. So we get a chance to really kind of appreciate what it has to say rather than just a quick glance past it. We read it, and then we have a moment of silence. Then we read it again. I apologize for that ring. Then we read it again in another moment of silence. And then we read it again and we have a longer moment of silence, and we complete the discipline with the fourth and final reading. We update this practice a little bit from its ancient form by using 4 different translations of the same passage, just to kind of give us a fresh take each time we encounter it. So we use the New Revised Standard Version, the Message, the Contemporary English, and the New International Version. We do also maintain a longer period of silence after the third reading. And that longer period is intended to be a time in which we turn our focus and attention to God to lift up how this reading is impacting us, inspiring us, confusing us, whatever it might be. As I've shared before, so I do again, I find it helpful to have something to write with and something to write on nearby. So as the passage is read through those first 3 readings, then I use the impressions that I have of that passage as the material for that conversation, for that prayer to God in the longer period of silence following the third reading. So let's get into the discipline for this week. Our passage comes to us from Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 through 28, beginning with the New Revised Standard Version. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling before Jesus, she asked a favor of him. And Jesus said to her, "What do you want?" And she said to him, "Declare that these 2 sons of mine will sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your kingdom." But Jesus answered, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." And he said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and my left, this is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard it, they were angry with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." Our second reading of Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 through 28 from the Message. It was about that time that the mother of the Zebedee brothers came with her 2 sons and knelt before Jesus with a request. "What do you want?" Jesus asked. She said, "Give your word that these 2 sons of mine will be awarded the highest places of honor in your kingdom, one at your right hand and one at your left." Jesus responded, "You have no idea what you're asking. And he said to James and John, "Are you capable of drinking the cup that I'm about to drink?" They said, "Sure, why not?" Jesus said, "Come to think of it, you are going to drink my cup. But as to awarding places of honor, that's not my business. My Father is taking care of that." When the 10 others heard about this, they lost their tempers, thoroughly disgusted with the two brothers. So Jesus got them together to settle things down. He said, "You observed how godless rulers throw their weight around, how quickly a little power goes to their heads. It's not going to be that way with you. Whoever wants to be great must become a servant. Whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave. This is what the Son of Man has done. He came to serve, not to be served, and then to give away his life in exchange for the many who are held hostage." Our third reading of Matthew chapter 20 verses 20 through 28 from the Contemporary English Version, and remember our longer period of 3 minutes of silence will follow this. The mother of James and John came to Jesus with her 2 sons. She knelt down and started begging him to do something for her. Jesus asked her what she wanted, and she said, "When you come into your kingdom, please let one of my sons sit at your right side and the other at your left." Jesus answered, "Not one of you knows what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the cup that I must soon drink?" James and John said, "Yes, we are." Jesus replied, "You certainly will drink from my cup, but it isn't for me to say who will sit at my right side and my left. This is for my Father to say." When the 10 other disciples heard this, they were angry with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called the disciples together and said, "You know foreign rulers like to order their people around, and their great leaders have full power over everyone they rule. But don't act like them. If you want to be great, you must be the servant of all the others. And if you want to be first, you must be the slave of the rest. The Son of Man did not come to be a slave master, but a slave who will give his life to rescue many people." Our fourth and final reading of Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 through 28 from the New International Version. Then the mother of the Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling down asked a favor of him. "What is it you want?" he asked. She said, "Grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right hand and the other at your left in your kingdom." "You don't know what you're asking," Jesus said to them. "Can you drink the cup I'm going to drink?" "We can," they answered. Jesus said to them, "You will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or my left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." This is the inspired word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.